Two. Okay, excellent. So we're going to talk about the templates, the template options, and then you'll have some time for questions. And certainly I've got some time afterwards to stay around. You can ask me questions too. Those of you who are very good with Zoom, and I mean very good with Zoom, that means you could do two things at once. You know, you can watch me on Zoom and then also go into Brightspace. If you're somebody like that who can do that, that's great. Go ahead and open up your Brightspace sandbox, and maybe you can even follow as you go. Many of you will work faster than I can speak. Okay, but there's no need to do that, right? You can just as well learn a lot by watching and see what's going on here. All right, this slide, we're going to get into the classroom, make a little bit more sense, but everybody okay? It's a little bit spread out. Here's course home, your nav bar, course admin, see content is up there. And now I'm in the modules down here. I'm in my week 1 module, and I go over to this magic button. I call it the magic button because with Brightspace, you can pretty much only do two things. It's a big container. You can either upload and bring it from the outside or create it from the inside. Okay, everybody with me? Two things you can do. Bring it from outside already made or make it within. And that's why this button is so important. Now, most of us are familiar with the top. If you pull it down and see upload a file, that's how you take something from your computer and put it in. The one we're going to use for today is create a file. That's what you have to click. So it's a big difference between uploading a file, moving something in there, or creating it right in there. Now, file and Brightspace is another word for page, right? File and Brightspace is just another word for page. So it makes it a little bit difficult to try to understand. Now, after I click create a file, what happens is I see this screen, and then you get to that gray button, select the document template. All right, so let's cover, that's an important learning point. The biggest part is, how do I find the templates? Everybody's, where's the templates? Most of the time, you go to course admin for everything. But this is one time where you can't find the templates in course admin. You have to go into a module, click upload, create, and then create a file. All right, so I'm going to stop there, give you a chance to write that down in your notes. It's a big, big learning point. Go into the module, find upload, create, and then click on create a file. Create a file. And then once you click on that create a file, it'll take you to this document template button. It's gray. Now, when you click on that, these are all the pre-formatted pages. Now, the problem we have, this is a big issue. Brightspace, no frill Brightspace comes to you with numbered templates. They'll say 01, 02, 03, 04. CCC spent a little bit of money, and we got some custom design templates that are high professional, high speed, a little bit better. But so when you first click on select document template, the ones that appear first all have numbers. Scroll way down until you see the exact same thing, but without numbers. Right? See how course introduction, elements, module, introduction, none of these have numbers beside them. These are all very good to use. All right, let's stop a second and see what we're doing. We created the file, looking for the document template, and now when we select one of these, we're going to click on it, and instantly this beautifully styled template will populate this blank screen so you don't have to type in all that information. Okay, now what are the different types of templates that are available? And if you think about what you want to do in your course, so you really want to think back and say, okay, I'm a designer. I know everybody likes to think of themselves as teachers, professors, but with Brightspace, you're an instructional designer. So there has to be a little bit of graphics involved with it. And it's not something to be afraid of. Brightspace isn't going away. Next year at this time, if you start practicing with the templates, you'll be a lot better than you are today, right? So the trick is to practice with them and then try to understand, when would I use a course intro template? Now, remember the template is just a page. So if you wanted to introduce your course, welcome students, my course is English 102, or my class is Chemistry 101. It's the page for introducing the whole course. This one, number 3, is the page to use when you want to introduce your students to the module. Okay, everybody see the difference between the course and the module? The course is the big picture, English 102. And now the module will be like week 1, week 2, week 3. So then you can use the module introduction to say, welcome to week 2, and then tell your students what you want to do them to a little bit. Is everybody with me? We're not in the announcements. The announcements is also a nice place that you can say, welcome to week 1, but you just kind of give them an overview. A template is a content page. You're building your own information in there that you want to put some of your files and stuff in there too. Now, some of the other things that people use right after that, they use a module introduction. And then at the end, they put their conclusion. You know, at the end of the module, they say, okay, folks, that's what we've done today. And it's kind of neat and what it looks like. The other things that are in there, there's a meet the facilitator, right? So that you can change the words to meet the teacher, you. It does a nice little template of you. And then there are these other designs. Some people don't like them, the full pagers, so they'll just use a basic page, no banner. We'll look at how to do an image. There's a video lecture page if you just want to put the video right in the middle. And then there's a blank page. And then some people just like the get started one because it has all the different things in it. We'll look also at the elements page. The elements is kind of cool because that has everything in it. So, you know, like a painter has a palette with all the colors that are going in there. The elements page has checklists. It has boxes. It's going to have quotation blocks. And what people do with that is they copy and paste the element into a page to try to design it that way. So some of the pages have something that works in different ways with that too. All right, so let's get into the actual course, right, and see some of these document templates and what they look like. Okay, out of this. And let's find, okay, everybody probably has a sandbox of some kind to practice in. If you're an instructor, you could put your last name. Okay, I changed mine around. That's why if you haven't found your sandbox yet, put your last name and then sandbox, and then you'll come to a place that you can practice in and put things. Okay, we're gonna go to content. All right, now I've got a lot of stuff in there, right? Look at all these things that are gonna go. Just a new practice module. Call it whatever you want, designing templates. And just to review, some neat things with Brightspace. Everybody see this drag and drop button? If I move it here, I can move and see the blue lines. So you can easily move your modules way up like that way. So since it's gonna be the very first thing that I wanna practice with today, I'm just showing how you can move all the way up to the very top. You see under table of contents and see the blue line? And then you can drop it and then it'll instantly move that up there. It looks like I've done the practice module before, right? Okay, but what I wanted was something clean in the middle. Now, Brightspace is really hard, right? Everybody see how big this is? Our eye is drawn right to the center. The way you have to look at things is draw your eye to the left because that's really what the table of contents and the chapters are and how it's all working in there. But now that I'm inside a module, here's that big blue button I was talking about, right, everybody? Upload or create. So just to review, because maybe you haven't taken the time to look at the whole thing that's going on here. Look, they call this an elevator sometimes. You pull the, because it goes up and down, right? See how you're pulling this down to see all the things that it can do? You can either upload or create, and uploading makes sense, right? Everybody okay with uploading a file, moving a video, moving an image, moving a picture over? You could upload a video. Now the create is different. Create a file, create a link, right? You have a URL, you want to link to somebody, that's the one that someplace, that's the website, that's the one that you would use there. And unfortunately, the ads get in the way. Here's where also very good things are. A lot of people go up into the tool. When I say the tool, they go up into course admin and find assignment, checklist, discussion, quiz, and survey. If you're building a course, it's kind of nice to build in content. So if you wanted to do a new assignment, you build the assignment right in here. Click assignment, and then it pops in there. Click checklist, and it's right in the module. Then you don't have to bring it down for existing activities. Okay, one other review point before we move on. Creating in content is a good idea because you can do the grade item right away. So maybe try to learn this a little bit. When you create a new assignment, then do the grade item. Create a discussion, do the grade item. Create a quiz, do the grade item. So do those things kind of right away after you do them. All right, so that's a lot of other stuff for the other trainings that you go through this week. Anybody remember what we click on here to start to find the document templates? And somebody, one of my friends, you can come off mic and tell me what.
Create a file.
Right, create a file. And maybe something, I see Marilyn, I see you first. Can you work as maybe the chat monitor? If there are any questions or things that come up, just kind of stop me and then I can ask them. So if people have questions, please throw them in the chat and Marilyn will stop me and we'll go over them. Excellent. So we hit create a file. It takes a minute to load. And there it is, right? See that document template button. And that's what's so weird about Brightspace. Just to go back again and show you why people can't find document template. See how you have gray buttons here? That's the front page with the existing activities. So you bring them down. To find that other gray button, create a file first, and then select a document template. Now, that's what I meant. See everybody? Look those numbers. So everybody boo. Boo when you see the numbers. Boo, right? I know. Sorry, you guys, but there's so much to keep in mind. Sometimes it helps if you have these funny kinds of things that you remember later. You don't know why you're booing these numbers, but you just are booing these numbers. And so you're scrolling way down, and then the non-numbered ones will start to come up. Right? So the help desk request is in. We've been trying to ask for it to be reversed or at least take those other ones so people could go right to them. All right. So let's maybe start off with a one that maybe everybody needs for the fall, the meet the facilitator. Okay, let's kind of meet your teacher. Now see, here I am. I'm going to click it. And now watch what happens. Boom. Now instantly, this kind of a template pops into it that you can fairly easily then do whatever you want to it. Like some people like their name up at the top there, or some people, see how it's the same font, so it makes it already meet your teacher if they like that instead of, or meet your professor. And then you could use this one as your name up there. And now you can put in any kind of text. You might already have a pre-written bio for yourself. And that's great. If you want to paste it in, you know, that thing with paste and match style, we'll paste it in the exact same way that comes in there. If not, a nice font to always use with Brightspace. Let's get the whole thing over here, is go up to Tahoma and then 14. It's just a very nice size. And it's also the same font that Brightspace uses up there. So a lot of people use the Times Roman. It's hard to read. 13 or 12 is also, it's all bunched together. So when you're designing for your students, think about lines of white space in between and good information using the headers in there too. A lot of people don't like giving their students their phone number, so that's okay. You can kind of just get rid of that. You can put your name here too. Put a picture in there. Now it's very commercial. See the D2L Brightspace? So what can be fun is if you go CCC, I guess I have to do the whole thing. City Colleges of Chicago. Oh, you can see I do this often. Images. And then we look for a long image with the CCC. That's a good one here. I'm going to hit copy image and go back to this place, highlight that and Control V, and see how it puts the City College of Chicago in there. You could do any image that you wanted, right? Like you could put the mascots from the college, or you could put your course's name, right, you know, next to it of some kind. Let's see, English 102, right? Kind of neat, a border in there with some of the design features. Now, what's important when you do the template, you have to give it a title. If you forget to and try to save and close, watch what happens. There was one error, so that's good. Everything's saved. It's just reminding you to put it in a title. If this happens to you, it happens to a lot of people. They start working in it, so it'll always be, remember, you can put meet your teacher, something that you're going to do, and then save and close. Oh, I've done this one before. Okay, so I'm going to overwrite the existing file. And we can look at this one again, and it looks pretty good. I mean, it took me, what, 5 minutes to get this basic page put in there. And then we go back to the practice module. And then see how we've got this. Now, let's look a little bit how weird Brightspace is. A lot of people say how strange, you have all this white space out there. It's really hard to see what you're looking for. Always focus on the table of contents. the modules, and then see what the title of the module is here. And now inside the module are what you call topics. All right, so again, a module and then the topic. Now, a lot of us will read the heading. So meet your teacher, because it's bigger. That's where your eye goes to. But what you're really looking for is this web page part to see what type of topic it is. I mean, let's see if I've got another busy type of thing going in. All right, like this one is a quick one. Here's the module title, and now we've got 3 topics. I know we have 3 topics in the module, 1, 2, 3, because I can see them. But what I'm really looking for is I've got 1 web page and then 2 videos in this one. Do one more. Let's see what's in week 11. Okay, good. Lots of stuff happening in here. Well, same thing. Web pages and a couple of videos we're moving through. Let's see what I did in this other practice module. All right, training the eye for design. Web page, look at the black underneath the heading. Web page, a video. Good, here's an assignment, a discussion topic, more web pages and assignments, right? But doesn't seem a lot of organization that's going to it too. So we'll try to do something neat with this one. If we're thinking, okay, what do you want inside your topic for this first thing? It might be a welcome to week 1 type of thing. So the next thing you might want is a discussion, right? So you go down, hit the discussion, enter a title for it, student introductions. Okay, unhide it, put the instructions in here for what you want them to do. I'm going to use discussions as my forum, right? That's the forum that they all kind of live in, and then save. And this is what I meant. Every time you do it in content, a discussion, an assignment, or a quiz, then go down and do the grade item right away. So make this one 5 points. There's no grade item, have to hit the plus. Call it the same thing. Okay, this category, we'll put it in discussions. Now, this one's tricky because of the grade item. You have to scroll down to see the points because Brightspace will default it. You always kind of want to make it 5 and hit the create and then the save. Okay, then we have the grade item. Now, these are called breadcrumbs up here. So a lot of times people go back to course home, they get confused. You're trying to go back to where you were, click where you were right before that. I guess the breadcrumbs from Hansel and Gretel, you know, in that story. And you can see what we're doing. We're building this module. We've got the meet your teacher, the student introductions. Okay, everybody remember we want to do a new document template. Hit the create and then create a file, right? Excellent. Then we're going to go over and get a new document template for our next page. Boo, go past all those numbered ones. And okay, we want a module introduction this time. Okay, and I'm going to call this Welcome to Week 1 up there. And now here's what the module template looks like. Okay, everybody take a second just to see how that works. See how it has a heading and it has another level of head here. And they call it a module introduction because you could put your learning objectives right there for the new module. A lot of us are taking those Quality Matters courses, and that's what's really important here too. So putting them in there. Now let's see if I still have that copy and paste. Yep, it's still in there. That's nice. So do all your pages there the same way. Now I'll probably learn it. A lot of us are adult ed instructors, so they call them student learning outcomes. See how easy that is to do that? You could just change this to the week 1 SLOs. Okay, I'd probably write that R. And then have the list here. If you want to delete them, that goes, you know, fairly easy too. So you just highlight these, delete, and then backspace, and you can have them 1 to 2. It's also nice if you wanted to add another one. See, it goes fairly quickly if you've got 3 or 4. But in a matter of minutes, well, maybe that's an exaggeration, 15 minutes, you can pretty much have a very decent page set up with, and then say, welcome to week 1. What are you going to do in week 1? And just give students maybe a paragraph or 2 of what you wanted to include there in the writing, right? Okay, so I like that module introduction. It's got the welcome in there. Going to save and close that one. Oh, the same thing with this one. And now we go back, right? The breadcrumbs, back to practice module, good. And now we're seeing how this goes, all right? Maybe you like the welcome to week 1 to start at the beginning, okay? So everybody see how I'm dragging Dropper in as a designer? And I'm trying to put these in some kind of logical order for the student, right? Maybe they hit this one, then they hit this one, and then they can introduce themselves moving on there. All right, but the purpose of our class today is document templates. So let's go and look at some more of these. We've done 2 of them. Boo, get down to these other ones. Let's see the summary page, right? The end of the week, they call it conclusion. I call them summaries. Maybe you can call them something else. You know how at the end of the week, it's kind of a nice thing to do for students to, instead of conclusion, makes it sound like a chapter of a book. You can put that in there too. You could use bullet statements in here. Next step, sometimes people like looking ahead. And then each week you would pretty much have the same template, right? So those of you who have to build a whole 16-week course from scratch or something, at first it seems really hard, but if you get your template the way you like it, just use the same one for each week, and then you're just copying, you know, summary week 2, you could do the same week 10, you could have the same thing of how that's working there, right, throughout. Okay, put the image in there. Oh, maybe here's a good question. Sometimes people say, Rich, I don't like that banner, right? So see that banner up there? Now, it's really weird. I don't know if you can see these little signs down here. You highlight the picture, and then this little nav bar underneath will come up. If you go to the last one, it will let you upload a new image from that, and you can pick it from your computer. Go through, maybe I've got some JPEGs and downloads. Probably should have done this a little bit better with finding a nice image that fits in there too. Probably none of them will work well. They'll just look silly in there too. Here's a light bulb that's probably way too big too, but just to show you the idea. Okay, open. And I could move the size a little bit, right? See, that has way too big for the banner, right? Unfortunately, you'd have to go in. It's a little primitive with Brightspace to do with the image, any of the options, and you have to mess around with how big it is, right? And the scroll of, you know, maybe 100 by 100, and then move that over a little bit till it gives you the size that you kind of want with the images. But you can change those banners too. Okay, so let's save and close that one. Okay, go back to our practice module. Okay, look at another module. Document template. Maybe let's look at elements. I want to make sure we have enough time to do that one. And what the elements page is, and here's some other design techniques. See how tiny this is? This whole thing coming in. This toggle bar here, if you click on it, it gives you the whole screen so that you can do a lot of text and then writing in there. So you could do something like this if this was going to be, oh, I don't know, you have an environmental science course, and now air pollution, and then you could subheadings, oops, okay, the undo button or Control Z will take you back to that too if too much of that comes around. You could do types of air pollution, you know, coming in there, and then have something that comes in there too. Now, elements are just different things that you can do with it, right? Like here's one way you could do something in Brightspace. We've seen that already for the learning outcomes. And here's a checklist, right? If you like that, things to do this week, right? And then you could just start saying, you know, 1, 2, and 3 that way. Maybe you like the block quote. You have a famous quotation. And each week, like some people on their modules, like for week 1, welcome to week 1, then they put quotations from a famous person or an inspirational quote. That's a nice way to give your course some design too. Okay, a Jumbotron. I didn't know what that was before Brightspace. It's just a box with a larger text inside of it. So what you could do is type information there to highlight the information. Some people like, see how they like the block quote, Control C, and then if you put it inside the box, makes it really nice. It stands it out a little bit too. Call out is completely up to you. See how this text has the gray background with the white text. So that's a way that you could design things. Some people like well, I'll show you how we use that light bulb one. I think that was the image that was coming in here, right? You can pretty much find anything. And that little square, sometimes the person's, I don't know, face, right? If you wanted the quotation in there, you could have that one too. Let's see if I can get the image. Upload, browse. And let's see if we can find the light bulb again. And that's why it was in my mind, because today I was designing some courses. Oh, this one even got too weird too. I wonder why it's doing that. It's so large. And even that one's too small. So I have to mess with it a little bit to get it. Oh, probably 75, 75. It's not taking that. Nice. And then something like this could be a theme, like tip of the week or idea of the week. You could go up here, boldface it. There's also, right, design colors. If we're looking at the bar here, it's a way to change colors to make things more dynamic. This blue seems to work well. Also this, I don't know what that is, like a gray blue. Some of you like purple or green. Red, they say, is hard if you're colorblind to kind of see. So having a variety of different colors is always kind of tough in there too. But another thing you could do if you didn't like that size is go up and make it bigger to highlight the information. So kind of a lot of things that you can do. Now, with these bars here, maybe that's a nice idea of talking about how you could add things to move them a little bit differently. Insert stuff, I think people know about. But over here, this fourth button, it's where the emoticons are. Probably you've known it that way, but it's also where this neat design line is. So when you click it, will come up. I always use the standard one that's there. You could make it bigger and see how it puts that line right in there for you. Sometimes you have lots and lots of type and you just need a line in there. This line is here, insert line, create, and it'll put a line right in there to make it a little bit more polished. Now, boldface, italics, those are all okay. Moving something to the right and left. The fonts we talked about as well, color. Math teachers, if you haven't done the math equation, I mean, I know our class usually isn't so much about design, but here's the graphical equation, and you can see it'll pop up all of these different symbols, right? So if you click on that, the box in there is where you put the number. Okay, so I'm trying to think of what my math days, I think 49 has a square root, right? And you could put a plus, and then I don't know if this even makes sense. The math teachers are probably laughing at me. 2 times the power of, I don't know, what's another one? Square root, I think for sure is 16. But there are other cool things too that you people in math will know. If you're hungry, right, you can have a pie. Okay, ha ha ha. Right, but at any rate, put the insert there, and then it'll put it right into the text, right, where you can see it. And now I need another line there for math design. So certainly if you're a math teacher, play around with, there's a chemistry equation tool, right, where you can use chemical formulas to do all your chemistry things that you need. And there's a math MX and a latex equation. The symbols you'll see here are how you move them around. So the basic one up there starts with that, and then it'll turn it over to there too, right? If you make a mistake, here's the redo or the undo button, and it'll take it right back to that way too. So all of these things are much better using a template and trying to work through it. Call out, see, that was a nice one that you could use, and there's a table for formats if you wanted to put tables in your pages. The 2 panels is kind of nice too. Let's say if you had, oh, I don't know, we were talking about pollution. And you could get rid of this. And if you wanted to have one for, I don't know, air pollution, and then some negative things, and then right next to it, water pollution in some kind of way, and change the colors there to make it a little bit more dynamic, boldface for these areas too, right? So it just depends on you. And then the elements page is over. All right, so everybody see how elements page was a little bit different The other pages were set pages like Meet the Facilitator, Module Introduction. This one's like that painter's palette where you're using elements and copying and pasting. So if you wanted to open up 2 browser windows and design in one and then move some of those elements right over to it, you could. Now down here at the bottom, remember we toggled? So we have to toggle back to give it that, nice, thing coming in. And we also needed a title for this one. Okay, this was also, let's say, about air pollution. Topic 1 content that we moved in there and did it. While we're here, here's spell check.
Rich.
Yes, go ahead. Question?
Yes, Rich, in the chat box, people want to know, how do you insert or move these design elements into another file?
Oh, okay. Like you'd have to copy and paste. So if you moved them into another place, you'd have to open up, let's say, you could open up another browser. Let's say Brightspace. This is a very good question. And let's go to, okay, in our practice module here, let's say we open and close this one. Let's say open load a new one. Let's say create a file. And we like, let's go down. It's a nice place to see basic page. Haven't seen that one yet. So the basic page comes in there, but I want to use the checklist with the basic page somewhere in there. So then if I go over here and go back to this one, go up to the checklist, Control C or Command C, and then go over to where you wanted it, and then Control V, and then the checklist goes right into your page. Everybody see how I did that, right? 2 browsers, opened up one, and used this to kind of move things around. Like here, I like this Jumbotron start copy. Go down to the end of it so you get the whole thing. Control C or Command V, and then go back to where maybe you want that quotation. Maybe a good place would be here. And then it's there. We could say the quote, and there the person's name in there, and then the quote that's coming in there. Also maybe here, put some line, and then insert the line. Did that make sense? Everybody, how you're copying and pasting, moving from one point? That's the easiest way to do it, right? At least, for me when moving it in there too. I'm going to save and close this one. And then you could build 2 of the same kind. And we're going to go back to our practice module. And let's look at, as we're building these things, let's go look at some of the other document templates that I promised to show you before the hour is up. Let's see what we've looked at. Module introduction, meet the facilitator, basic page. Here's the basic page with no banner, right? A lot of people don't like the banners, the colors. They say, well, there's a lot of, I don't know, commercialism in them coming in there. So a basic page, no banner, might be a standard page that is good enough for your course. You go, wow, that's perfect. I'll have a header, a subheading, and see how it has 3 levels of head, big up there, and then 1 all caps that you can't change, and then subheader. So if you had 2 areas, like we keep saying water pollution, Control C, just copy it, and then move over here and Control V. And if you needed 1 more, right, you could put 3 things that you had to talk about, like the 3 elements of one particular area. And I just like those lines. You probably have seen already. I keep putting them in. I just think it's nice. It gives it a nice crisp feel. So at each one, the students can even stop reading and they can kind of see the line, moving in there. Through those 3 levels, you could do this here, tip of the week, or some people do, okay, now your homework assignment, or take the quiz, something like that too, with a basic page with no banner. It's also kind of nice. You can copy and paste your own stuff in there. Okay, remember, we're going to close the toggle, and we're going to call this like topic 2 for the week. right? And then a save and close. Okay, that was a basic page, no banner. What else have we got in there in our artist's toolbox? Okay, if we go down to create a file, select a document template, and we've seen a basic page. Let's look at image. Okay, let's say you've got the art gallery or something coming in with the images. And what image does is certainly you could have a header. All of these, there's some bullet lists if you like that too. But what the image does is the alignment part. You know how when you have a picture, usually you can't write next to it. And here's where you could insert the new picture, and then you could just start typing your text. Museum of, art picture and what's happening in there. That also has, if you don't like the images on the left side, you could align it on the images with the right, where you put the picture and then the text here. And here's a picture where the text is underneath it. Right? Sorry, the picture's underneath it. Also below it if you wanted to have that too, but that's just kind of the image that you would put it in there and then pick. So with the images, maybe some of you are teaching art or teaching history, and so you have a number of pictures that you want to place on the page. That's a nice one to use for wrapping around and putting the pictures where you want them to go. Okay, let's see what else. Video lecture, also kind of a nice one. I say nice because it has a frame, and there's lots of ways you can insert videos, of course. But if you want to see something very, very large, like you're right in the middle, you could say what the video lecture is, or talk about it, and then have them watch the video here. Easy to replace, delete that, and then go up to insert stuff. Right, and okay, I'm gonna Mac, so maybe this won't work with a Chrome. Sometimes the browser doesn't work. But everybody know this button, insert stuff? Okay, from your computer, add a video note. If you haven't known that, maybe we have some time, we can go over that quickly. And then YouTube, and add directly from YouTube. Let's see, we have ESL. What about ESL simple past? And you're looking for some kind of video with that. Okay, usually you would know what your URL is. That's another way you can put that in there. But I'm just showing this. Click on the blue and then click on next. Say, is that the one that you want? Say, yeah, that looks good. And then insert. And then put it here above it, right? And then what you can do is shift it over. Let's see, why wouldn't it do that? Of course, I'm trying to, I deleted the whole thing. Okay, that's nice. You go up and you find the undo button or redo, and it will put it back there again. Just trying to shift it and move it a little bit over. The funny thing is why I didn't put it in here. Let's try it again. Because I'm trying to put it in the gray frame. Again, YouTube. What did we do? ESL simple past. There it is. Then next. Yep, it's the one I want. All right, and the insert. Yeah, see with the Chrome browser and Macs, see how it cuts it off, makes itself in the short there too. And that's one of the things, this known issue it tells us, difficult to replace the video in certain browsers moving in. So rather than having the big one with this one, we just have to use this. We could go ahead and get rid of it. All right, replace the video. Delete. I think you should delete. To play with that some more, right, to get rid of it. But inserting the video page, probably not your best option. Like the other ones that are moving on with just insert the video. You're trying to put that one together. Okay, what other document templates? Basic page, no banners, we looked at those. How about the get started? One is a nice one because it has one level of head and then another level of head, and then you could use this as either steps or as a third level of head, depending on how much content you have on a design sheet in there too. So I don't know, what did people think? Did you find a favorite? that you liked as far as a design page that you think you could start? Most people pick one and then they develop their own, and then they use it over and over again as they're moving forward with one. Maybe I can show you another neat trick. If you find something you really, really like, let's go back to the practice module. And remember we did this welcome to week 1 page. Okay, so click on that. I said, wow, I really like the way that looks. I want to copy that and copy the whole page, everything on it, not just a part of it, but copy the whole page so I can do my welcome to week 2. Okay, now the way you do this is really weird in Brightspace. Here's a drop down, and anytime you want to edit this content, you think you would just say edit page or edit content. It says edit the HTML. Now that's hypertext markup language, because everything in Brightspace is on a web page. It's on the web, so it's a web page. So that's why it's asking you to edit the H. I wish they would change it and just said edit content or edit page, but when you want to make the changes, that's what you hit. All right, and then you're going to go down here and say you want to copy that whole thing. Remember we said this was the spell check? Here's the accessibility check too. So let's see how many accessibility errors I have. Oh, it says no accessibility. Usually I have colors or fonts or something like that too. So very helpful to see whether your images that you're using are accessible. But over here is the HTML source code from the editor. This is the one that you want when you want to copy it. Now, it really comes down to just doing the same thing as copying and pasting, but this time you're going to copy and paste the source for it, right? The HTML source code. So when you click on it, it's going to change you and it's going to give you all the HTML source, the old markup tag, what that means to a web page to have it. So highlight the whole thing, Command or Control A, and Command or copy Control C. And then you could save it. It's not going to really change anything. And then you have to go to content where you want this to appear. All right. Okay, so let's say we wanted a new week because we were doing week 1. So just go down here and make a week 2 as a new module. All right, now here, upload, create a file. That's still on my clipboard. I'm going to call this welcome to week 2. All right. Now we go in here and we can't just copy and paste. Remember what we did? We got it from the source editor. So before we just copy and paste in here, go over to the source editor, pull this up. It already has a little bit in it. Highlight it, Control V or Command V, drop all that stuff that you just copied from the other place, and then click Save, and bam, it will move whatever you had before over. Now, a lot of you probably just went, wow, that's a lot, but it's really not a lot if you love your page. You know, like this one, I could do all 16 pages fairly quickly because I still got it on my clipboard. So now welcome to week 2 is done. So now I just fly back to content. All right, go down there, make my week 3. I'm just pretending that this class has no weeks in it. We have that thing just to show one more time. All right, we're going to create a file. Welcome to week 3. Control V. Oh, see, that's the wrong thing we're doing. Go over to the source. Should be in there now. Control V and then save. And also didn't do that, did it? All right, let's get rid of this completely. Control A, delete. I'll pop this one up. Do it this way. Control V and then save. And there it is. So now we're able to say welcome to week 3. And so no matter kind of minutes, you can pretty much put the skeleton, well, minutes, half an hour or so, you could at least have your basic weeks there with pages that you like. So you're constantly not reinventing the wheel and trying to put them, you know, all together. Now, when we go back and we're talking about what a design is for a good week, right? See if we have something in this week that moves in there. That was not such a neat one. Looked at week 11. There's a week 5. It might be something nice. And he's talking about design, right? Now look at from a designer's point of view. We're in the brand new module. Welcome to week 5, right? Then you've got a discussion topic. Then there's another discussion topic. There's a video, a quiz. Students then read a summary, a checklist, and the assignment. So you think those are all kind of good for a week. Now, what makes sense to put in what order? Usually you'd have a welcome, and then you'd have to have some kind of content or reading in there. So how about moving the video up so that the very first thing they do is welcome to week 5. And now see how the title says, please watch. So the navigational instructions are right in the title. Instead of just calling it video or something, welcome to week 5, and now please watch this video. And now maybe the next thing you would like them to do is discuss in this discussion. If you click on edit properties in place, that's where you can do the title. So you can then say post in the discussion or discuss air and water pollution. And you're moving through and seeing how that worked there. Then the next thing it might be to take the quiz, come up there, and then maybe the checklist with the homework, but you're moving in and it has some kind of conclusion or idea with what you're trying to design and put them in. If you go back, you probably can't see this one really well. Let's see, it's such a bad screen. Yeah, that's really kind of, woof, right? You have to kind of really lean forward to see it. But how you could start with your weeks, like here's a week 9, 10, 11, 12, moving down. And within the module itself, starting with the learning objectives, a video, then a discussion, a quiz, a summary, and then a checklist. So when you're designing the module for your remote class, whether you can think about how much time do you want them to spend in a course, for example. You say, okay, I'm meeting with them an hour and a half twice a week. So maybe I want them working about 3 hours outside the class, then build the async part to be about 3 hours so that it has some kind of a regular structure. Maybe you're learning outcomes, one discussion, one assignment, or a quiz. So there's some kind of variety as you move through, and either or moving it. And then at the end, a summary, and then kind of a checklist in there too with it.
Rich, we have some questions in the chat. I'm sorry.
No, this is excellent. So let's maybe even stop the share for now and bring everybody back a little bit. Maybe in the gallery, we can see who's here. And let's get some of these questions answered. Go ahead, Marilyn. What have we got?
Well, we have how can you save, or can you save a personalized template?
That's a good question. That's a good question. I think you can, because it's in, if you see the browse and the templates, let me get out of this and show you where that is. No, here, when we did the upload create, and we went to create a file.
Are you sharing with us?
Oh yeah, can you not see it anymore? Oh, let me share that. That would help. And now in the document templates, the last one that I didn't show is you can browse for a template. And these are where all you've saved your templates where they're moved. This is going to take you back to manage files. And it's a matter of finding where your template is, the one that you liked. Like, see how this is about your teacher or academic advisor. So every time you wanted to use that one, like here's the art gallery, click on it and then add. And that art gallery one that we used before pops back in. The only problem with that is that's unique to the course. So let's say you've got your favorite template, you have it in that course, then you have to copy and paste it the way I did that with the HTML to move it to another class and then use it there. Okay, another question.
Yes, they asked how many templates would you use in a single course?
Oh, that's a great question. I think some people use all of them, right? Well, it depends on really kind of where. I think in my courses, I probably use 4. I have a standard module introduction. I use the meet the facilitator, so there's 2. I use the conclusion. I probably have one with a video lecture. I know I have a class of a movie course that uses lots of videos in that. So I have that one too. So it really depends on the instructor. A lot of designers, they get their 1 or 2 templates that they like, and they pretty much design their course that way. You know, like how many files do you need, especially if you're remote teaching? If you think about that, it's not a fully online course. Maybe the students will only be working about 3 hours. You're going to see them very often in Zoom and talking to them. So how much do you need in your classroom? Probably a module introduction, maybe an activity or two, a discussion, a quiz, or an assignment, and then the conclusion for that week. And I think we all know, those of us who've been doing this remote, you build as you go. So what's nice is this new term fall, if you worked really hard over the summer or the spring, you can use those materials and then tweak them and build on them, you know, as you go and then improve. Okay. What I'm looking for with D2L and with Brightspace is improved templates, because, you know, there's so many other things that anybody who knows Adobe Spark or any kind of these great graphic designs out there know how easy it is to design with those and how quick. And still, this is very, very primitive and hard to clunky to go in there and change and move and do all these things. So hopefully Brightspace in the next years will catch up, and there'll be a lot more flexibility with the template, so that you could do things that they call accordions, you know, that document designs that move in and out, interactive quizzes. A lot of you take other courses, maybe with ION or with Quality Matters, and you see some of those interactive speech recognition pages. Those would be super neat to have in here. Okay, another question?
Yes, someone asked about submodules.
Ah, that's a great question too. If we go back to content, you can get lost in submodules, right? Everything's a module in Brightspace. So go back to one of our practice ones here. Every place that has a submodule, and really I kind of stay away from the submodules unless it has something to do with the course. What happens to a lot of people is they do everything first in a module and a submodule, right? So the submodule is within the module. I'm in week 3. So maybe if I wanted to use it for week 3, part 2, right? And would use it as a category like that. But what happens is you get this box, which is great. And then you could just create within the module itself, within the submodule. You can do everything you could do in a module, you could do here. So you can have submodules there. The other difference with it, if you see here, the module will be there, and then the submodule is indented. But that's even hard to read. So what some people do in Brightspace is they make the module title all caps. And then if you go down and see the submodule, it makes it easier to understand that's a submodule within the module. All right. Okay, good question.
Hi, Rich. It's
Hey.
Alyssa.
Hi, Alyssa. How's it going?
Good. Just to let you know, it's at 3 o'clock. So there's another training right after this on the same.
Oh.
On the same
okay, you
channel.
guys. We're having too much fun, right? So we're gonna get out of here, right? I've enjoyed seeing everybody. Wow, this was great and catching up. I mean, I feel like we should do this I know we must be Zooming too much if we're our best friends, right? Because we're the only ones that care about this Brightspace stuff, right? If you're like me, you start talking to your friends about Brightspace, they say, okay, I get it. You're an online teacher, you know, bye, right? Okay, so everybody, I guess Alyssa's pushing us out the door. Get out of here. Now go do great things in your classrooms. Make beautiful designs, right? And I get 10% of all the money you make, right?
Thank you, Rich.